Rise and shine, Rwanda.
Good morning. You're watching Rise and Shine Rwanda with me, Ivan Magwene.
And me, Peace Kwizera. Coming up on Rise and Shine.
In our story of the day, we bring you an up-close interview with a senior officer at the Food and Agriculture Organization.
And in sports, Thousand Hills ready to resume the Rugby League Senior in high gear.
In lifestyle, we catch up with Miss Mutesi Eduige. Well, all that and more still to come, but first we get to meet the rest of the team. Good morning, Stefan.
Good morning, Ivan.
How is the world of sports doing now?
Well, a lot has been happening. Well, we have, sure, tune in, we'll give you whatever you need.
The lady with the money, a lot of business going on across East Africa. What's so far bringing in the money?
The AU Summit, especially in Rwanda. And good morning to you.
All right, good morning, Chantal. Good morning, Peace.
Good morning, Ivan.
Yeah, I hope you have more misses. You've been having more misses coming.
Yes,
and
the
I can't wait
series
yeah,
continue, of
absolutely,
course.
and we can't wait to hear from Eduige.
Of course.
Now, well, we'll be bringing you all the stories making headlines here in Rwanda and across the world. Now, starting off with our first local story, Dr. Agnes Binagwaho, who has been the Minister of Health, was, of course, yesterday morning relieved of her ministerial duties. According to a statement from the Office of the Prime Minister, Dr. Binagwaho, who was appointed Minister of Health in May 2011, was relieved of her duties. Prior to that, she had been the permanent secretary of the ministry. It came as a surprise, one would say, especially looking at this shuffle within the government. But what has been the status quo? What has she left behind? What kind of legacy has she left for the the Ministry of Health so far? Chantal.
Well, she has done a lot. She has done some good things and also some bad things. One of those is corruption, and that's why she has actually been sacked. So,
has that been confirmed news that these are the reasons why this lady had to be
from what I read, it has been confirmed because she actually covered for people who are corrupt, which also makes her corrupt. And actually some money that was sent in, the government funds that were set in to buy, is it mosquito nets for people for the malaria problem that came in, was embezzled. They used like half of it, and we don't know where the other half went. So this Rwanda being immune to corruption, this is the best they could do.
This is a woman that would say has had a little bit of hurdles along the way, especially with the rise of malaria, with the rise of different non-communicable diseases. This is a woman that has faced pressure. Would you say this could be part of the performance index that she has misled at the end of the day, which has led her to be fired from the cabinet?
It's hard to know which grounds she has been relieved of the duties, because nobody, the scorecard isn't there. But well, as you asked your first question about the legacy, well, let's not forget that she did good for the Mutual do Sante, because many people have been enrolling, and that service has been going on well, which is this is something that makes the country stand out from other countries.
Yeah, she has done some good work.
Absolutely. Minister since 2011, I believe there's some good work to be done out there.
Yes,
Peace.
sure. Now, taking this on to Ethiopia, now the Ethiopian government blocked Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Viber after exam papers were leaked online. Ethiopia has blocked social media sites across the country after questions from end-of-year university exams were posted online, sparking a national scandal. What does this mean for even any other examination sector now, for REB and for UNEB and all these other places, in different countries in the region especially? What does this mean, exams being leaked? And at this particular time, it's university exams, not even high school or primary. What does this mean, Chantal?
Well, I'm actually wondering if blocking this will stop the exam from leaking in any case. We've seen these things in Uganda and actually in Rwanda.
Yes.
Things were not posted online, but they still leaked. So I don't think blocking all these social media things would actually do anything about
blocked it for now, so that and they also happen to postpone the exam to later, so they'll just reset the whole thing and then postpone it to later. But what would you have to comment about it?
Well, we saw with what happened in the Ugandan elections. Social media was disabled, but people still used VPN.
Yes.
So I think it's a viable solution to postpone the exams and then set others.
Postpone and not blocking social media is actually blocking a lot of things, not
A lot
only
of things,
exams,
for
but
sure.
some people's life is on hold.
Ivan, would you have anything to add?
Well, quite frank, one thing I know about Ethiopia, they're very sensitive with their social media. It's a very conserved country.
Yes.
And in case of any mistake, especially via social media, they're very easy to, they're very fast to cap that. And for me, but well, the decision to do this wasn't the right one, I believe, especially looking at how social media gets to do business every day, people who do online and everything. So
Yes.
this wasn't the right decision, but who knows? This is a decision, of course, they were taking to make sure that this linkage does not even broaden. But anyways, that was the whole case. Welcome to Africa. Now, moving on to other story in the region, it has been the uphold in South Sudan. Now, a ceasefire happens to have been done in South Sudan. Now, this has brought to a 4 days fighting between rival forces, which has left hundreds dead. The city is quiet for now, with no reports of helicopter gunships in the sky or tanks on the street. Some good news, some relieving news after
Finally.
these old
After
days.
all these
Almost
bad
200,
days.
200 people dying.
After 200.
So what was your opinion on this one? Do
Well-
we see actually guns stopping?
I'm glad they have at least done something about this, and we can see that some certain solutions are coming onto problems that are happening in South Sudan. South Sudan has been a war
Torn
zone,
area.
a war-torn area for a very long time. In that it's high time that certain things need to be solved. I would say I believe they're doing something, and well, let's just wait and see what happens.
If you look at what Samantha Power, who's the U.S. envoy to the United Nations, she has been saying, this has been the issue of Riek Machar and Salva Kiir. These are people with what she called them, selfish reasons. People are dying because of the political selfish reasons. At this point, does that sound like a link of trying to take these people to court because of war crimes or something like that? Could we see a future like that?
Well, never know. In a year or two, those such accusations may come. And may have to answer for those crimes, those murders. 200 people is a lot of people.
Now, not
But-
forgetting what the conflict has left behind, killing a lot of more people and destroying, of course, what South Sudan has been building
And
for
a
the
very
last 5
huge
years.
number of refugees.
Sure,
Absolutely.
it's been Salva Kiir accusing
Riek
Riek
Machar.
Machar of trying to lay a coup, and well, we just hope that this ceasefire, can keep on
Yes.
for some
Well,
time.
peace is all we want in South Sudan, especially the youngest state, looking at how far they've come. Peace.
Yeah. Moving on to Uganda, as a way of preventing corruption that is a big issue in Uganda, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni said, and I quote, "We are ready to pardon the government officials who will plead guilty and also refund all that they have embezzled." This is about corruption, people, and we've seen this as a case in Uganda for so long. Now let's start this with Ivan. When you hear a comment like this, or something that the president of Uganda, who has been on a verge of doing really great things since he was re-elected this year, what would you say about this?
One thing, my personal opinion is, I don't think actually this can work. Pardoning somebody who takes corruption just because they'll bring back
That's
the money.
actually giving them another chance
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
get corrupt.
And
That's what I
I
think.
it's giving them easy escape to justice. Because there's no way, because in the first case, the reason why they took in corruption is because they were in need of that same money and because they have a certain practice which is illegal. So I think this move, well, if you're trying to rule a country in a certain way like this and you're trying to take back people because you forgive them, this does not give a very good example to those that are going to be taking in this.
See, this is actually when I go into this into details.
Absolutely.
He said that corrupt leaders should not only bring back the funds, but should also plead guilty. If you have done this, you have to
what's
say,
the
I have
difference?
done this. You understand? You have to actually confess that you've done this before they take you to jail.
But how many
Because
of these
they're up
officials
to
do you think can bring back what they have
Absolutely.
taken?
That's
They're-
exactly the
afraid.
otherwise they'll have to take them to jail, of course.
Well, finding out whether somebody is guilty of a crime of embezzlement, that's a process.
Yeah,
We need
absolutely.
to investigate.
Yes.
Process, yes.
So, I mean, somebody will need to be investigated, and then they say, yeah, we have the evidence. So
And
they
please,
plead.
let's
So it
not
makes
forget
it.
that some of these leaders are the most powerful people in Uganda. There has been a system built which is very fundamental and strong for corruption process to take place. So just saying that people will come out, such big high officials, and say, pardon me for this, it's not that easy.
That's what makes it a challenge.
Absolutely
They
not
should
that
borrow a leaf from Rwanda.
Yeah.
Of course,
Do
they
not
should.
tolerate
And
corruption at all.
Tanzania.
Yes.
And
Yes, John Magufuli is doing
John
something
Magufuli.
great.
Yeah.
a great job. Of course, they say they should take a leaf from Tanzania and Rwanda, and of course, do let us know what do you think on our different social media.
And plus, I love the picture today when Museveni sitting down and I
Okay,
saw
what
it
was
yesterday.
that?
It's
Oh,
like
that
he's in
was
much
really
Very
better
funny
also.
picture.
So he moves with his chair
Yeah,
in the car.
absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
Now moving on to our other international story. David Cameron will chair his final cabinet meeting as Prime Minister as Theresa May prepares to take over. Mrs. May had been expecting a 9-week Conservative leadership race, but rival Andrea Leadsom withdrew on Monday. Now Mr. Cameron will tender his resignation to the Queen today, leaving Mrs. May Home Secretary since 2010 to appoint her own ministerial team. Now, for most people, Mrs. May said she said she was honored and humbled to be taking over and pledged to make a success of the UK's EU exit a success, as she said it. She said Brexit means Brexit. This is a woman. But anyways, before we go any further, maybe for our viewers, we would like to play them what actually some of the last words Cameron had to say before he left office. Take a look.
Good afternoon. I'm delighted that we're not going to have a prolonged Conservative leadership election campaign. I think Andrea Leadsom has made absolutely the right decision to stand aside, and it's clear Theresa May has the overwhelming support of the Conservative Parliamentary Party. I'm also delighted that Theresa May will be the next Prime Minister. She is strong, she is competent, she's more than able to provide the leadership that our country is going to need in the years ahead, and she will have my full support. Obviously, with these changes, we now don't need to have a prolonged period of transition, and so tomorrow I will chair my last cabinet meeting. On Wednesday, I would attend the House of Commons for Prime Minister's questions, and then after that, I expect to go to the Palace and offer my resignation, so we'll have a new Prime Minister in that building behind me by Wednesday evening. Thank you very much.
In his last words, of course, Cameron has been a little bit, very promising to who the next Prime Minister might be. But now the focus shifts to the women today in the House. We might have a very potential US president who's a woman, and now we're having a Prime Minister who's a woman, and not forgetting that the UN might have a General Secretary who's also a woman. I'll put it in on the
Let me
score.
cut really short there.
Yeah.
UK has always, UK has had Margaret Thatcher.
Absolutely.
And she's always been, the top woman, always being referred to and what. So
Yeah.
this is not the first time we'll have a woman at the...
No,
Yeah,
I'm
but
not
having
saying this is
more
the
of-
first time.
I mean-
No, I'm not saying this is the first time the UK is having the first Prime Minister as a woman. I mean, Margaret Thatcher did such a tremendous job, especially in revamping the economy of the British. But here we have a woman, at least 3 women
They're
at the
stepping
most,
up, you
most
know?
important positions in the world belonging to women. UN Secretary General, the United States of America, the Prime Minister of the UK, not forgetting the Chancellor of Germany.
Exactly.
These are the some of the most
No,
powerful
not to
positions.
hijack you.
Yes.
Being focusing on Britain,
Yeah.
well, England, the UK has to deal with the effects of exiting the EU.
Yeah.
So she really has a lot on her plate.
Yeah.
We don't know how this is going to turn out. And we have the universal trade deals affected. So there's a lot. Let's see what she'll do. But it's
Absolutely.
good for
Let me
women.
tell you, I'm
say-
not going to judge this is a woman that has the experience. She has been the secretary. She has had a very good experience. She has a very nice track record. And in the words of David Cameron, this is the kind of woman that is going to indeed lead the UK out of the Brexit. But of course, I was trying to emphasize the point that these are the most powerful positions in the world, and we might have them being occupied by women. I mean, there's got to be a comment from the ladies here.
Oh, okay, sure.
Well, I want people to think about women as much as they think about men. So if she can be that and even better, it's still cool.
Yeah.
Can I say
Yeah,
something?
absolutely. Please, something to say there.
Adding that in line with the AU summit focus this year, And of course, it's empowering women more. And I think this is a really great move for
This is
even
the
African
even
Union
Africa
comes in
to
somehow.
pick from, even and also for the rest of the world to learn from. That's
Absolutely,
what I
not
would say.
forgetting also
However,
Kazi,
we
we're from
would
Uganda.
like to watch as she gains the power to see how she's going to take Britain after they have left the EU.
For sure.
All right, there you had it for the stories making headlines in Rwanda and across the world. We'll be back shortly with the story of the day. Welcome back to Rise and Shine, Rwanda's story of the day with me, Ivan Magwene. We are at the beautiful Radisson Blue and Convention Center for the third day of the African Union Summit. And later on today, we are able to catch up with Tako Ndiaye, who's the Senior Officer for Gender Equality and Rural Development in the Food and Agriculture Organization here in Africa. She was able to explain to us what is the current status quo of gender, especially women's rights here in Africa, and also how can the protocols that have already been adopted and the resolutions passed out be implemented to improve the rights of women here in Africa. We're able also to talk about what can be done, especially looking at the fact that most of these resolutions have been passed away, but the problem has always been the implementation. And here is a whole full interview we had with her today. Take a look.
Yes, thank you. I would first want to appreciate that Africa has made tremendous progress in terms of adopting legal frameworks for enforcing women's rights in Africa. From Maputo Protocol to the national policies on gender equality, to policies on land rights, to policies on equal participation in decision making. So there are advances, there are tangible advances. However, for instance, the agricultural sector, I think where we have to make a lot more progress is to translate those high-level political commitments or all the legal frameworks into the lives of ordinary women in African villages. I mean, for instance, women who still spend hours going to fetch water or firewood, because there are not enough service provisioning in those areas. I'm talking, for instance, about the persistence of some food taboos, whereby in some communities women are denied access to the most nutritious food. I'm talking about land rights, because we know that women work a lot on the land, so the access to the land is not an issue. The issue is the right to inherit land, the right to own land, the right to transfer land, the right to buy land. And those rights are somehow, in most cases, sometimes stated in the constitutions or in other legal frameworks. But the translation into reality is always problematic. There's also huge disparities in terms of accessing extension services, but also marketing services, the information services, access to decent rural employment or decent employment in general is an issue, or maternity protection in the workplace, as stated in some ILO conventions, is still an issue. The issue of equal participation in decision making, in shaping the laws, the policies, the programs, the national budgets, because there has been a lot of talk about gender equality, but we need that commitment to be equated with adequate budget allocations to effectively implement all those resolutions.
There you had it from us here, the African Union Summit. Keep it updated to Rise and Shine Rwanda as we bring you all the latest of what is happening here at the African Union Summit. You've been watching Rise and Shine Rwanda, story of the day. Chantal Uwera will be up next with business.
Here is to traveling and saving. Starting 1st of April to the 1st of June, travel with RwandAir and take advantage of our reduced fares and enjoy our world-class services in great comfort and safety.
Fly our dream to the heart of Africa.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine. It's time for your business news today with me, Chantal Uwera. Genocide survivors in Nyarugunga sector in Chichuchiro district on Friday afternoon saw their social protection boosted with medical insurance subscription by the staff of Access Bank. Payment of health insurance for 25 families comprised of 175 members was announced by Access Bank staff representatives during the visit to the village. Earlier this week, Kenya signed a multi-billion shilling deal with India to build East Africa's biggest cancer hospital, beginning early next year in the move that places healthcare at the center of diplomatic relations between the two countries. President Uhuru Kenyatta agreed with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to fast-track construction of the hospital whose establishment was first announced during Kenyatta's visit to Delhi last year. National carrier Kenya Airways and its rival Fly 54 and KCB Group were among Kenyan companies that were counting heavy losses following a fresh outbreak of political violence in South Sudan. The unrest, which started late last week, escalated over the weekend, dealing a blow to a recent resurgence in business confidence that followed the African Union brokered peace deal between the warring fractions and Vice President Riek Machar's return to the capital in May. And that's all we had for you in business today. Kalimba Stephen will be up next with sports.
Welcome back. Time now for your sports news with me, Stephen Kalimba. Run and cyclists to benefit from a stronger relationship with the International Cycling Union, UCI. The sport of cycling will benefit from a stronger relationship between the World Cycling Governing Body and the country's cycling federation, FAO. This is according to FAO President Aimable Bayingana, who met Brian Cookson at the UCI on Monday at the body's governing headquarters in Switzerland to discuss boosting run and cycling. Among issues discussed were building capacity with the Africa Rising cycling center based in Musanze. UCI has been a close partner to cycling in Rwanda. And in the Olympics, Usain Bolt named on the Jamaica team for Rio 2016. Usain Bolt has been given medical exemption to defend both his Olympic 100 and 200 meter titles and the 100 times 4 relay, title after being named in the Jamaica team. The 29-year-old is part of a 63-strong man team. There had been worries over the champion's participation after he injured a hamstring at the national trials. And in England, Big Sam tipped for the England job by former boss at West Ham. Sam Allardyce's, former boss David Gold at the Premier League club West Ham United has tipped the Sunderland manager, saying he would make a very good England manager. Big Sam, as he is popularly referred to, has been named a likely replacement to Roy Hodgson, who resigned after England's Euro 2016 exit. The Hammers boss told BBC Live that he wouldn't hesitate to recommend him. He is determined, he is ambitious, he's been in the business a long time, said Gold. And today we look at League Club 1000 Hills, who are aiming for their first ever win in the National Rugby League. We paid a visit to their home ground in Gatenga to see how they are prepared to win the league. Take a look. In only their second season, Thousand Hills Rugby Club have their eyes set on a first ever National League trophy. Left with one game to play before the semi-final playoffs, the Gatenga-based outfit lead the Kigali League with 13 points. And for Jimmy Adams Mugabo, the coach, the atmosphere is positive despite a few setbacks.
The atmosphere is very good, but we have just a small challenge because most of the players are students and now they are preparing for the exams. As you can see, the number is not very big. But on Fridays, that's when we have a big number because it's on weekend. But the atmosphere is really good and players are focused mentally and physically, and I'm sure we'll do better next time. Yeah.
Thousand Hills last played in the Genocide Memorial Sevens last month, in which they were semi-finalists, and they have picked some lessons.
As a coach, what I saw is that, first of all, is the discipline. I'm not talking about the bad behavior of players, but the rugby discipline, which includes a very good defense, communication, and all that. And I think our team, the Thousand Hills, need to focus more on communication. Very good communication, as in when your teammate tells you to come back, so you come back. When the referee is signaling penalty, so you actually know what he's talking about, and you go back 10. Things like that. Actually, small errors and mistakes made us lose some of the games.
The youthful side have managed to maintain external support from the Gypsy Rugby Club and the Hong Kong Rugby Club, a challenge for other clubs. To maintain that, they have had to be well managed. But how does it impact their performance?
This actually give us like a high expectation. So they are not expecting very much, but for us is also motivating us to do more so that we can get to the level of playing and beating like Uganda or Kenya. So with sponsors, and I'm sure we will get there. Yeah.
Mugabo thinks other clubs are not doing their best at sponsors, or rather donors, but there is a way about it.
It's a lack of communication, most of all, and most of the clubs have this this fear to approach people and tell them the good thing about rugby. They think about getting sponsored, but they don't take that step forward and talk to someone about sponsoring them. So I think what Thousand Hills have done is just to update everything we do here, training, posting pictures on social medias. Social medias, they have helped us a lot, and the people are seeing what we are doing, and they want to be involved. So I think what I can encourage other teams is just to go out there and talk to people about rugby and actually do something, train, because also the sponsor, they don't want to come and sponsor you and they come to training, they don't find anyone, or they don't find you guys training. So we have to actually work on that and don't expect much, but first of all give something and then expect to get something. Yeah.
Flanker Hereshie Hakizimana says despite having exams which affects training, the squad keep in touch and soon will resume training. The first motivating factor is that we have a coach who helps us show up for training and we do what he asks of us. We are always here training and we are in the same age group. We know what our target is and we want to take the trophy. Some of us were lucky to play for the national team. We learned many tips from the then national team coach. That's what we are sharing with our colleagues who didn't have the opportunity. That's knowledge we will use in the league and even other tournaments that will come after. The Rwanda Rugby Federation is yet to communicate a date for the league resumption after a long break since May. However, it is expected sooner than later, with the date to prepare for the next season looming. Stephen Kalimba, Rise and Shine Rwanda. There you had it. Peace Cruiser is up next with Lifestyle.
Here is to traveling and saving. Starting 1st of April to the 1st of June, travel with Ryanair and take advantage of our reduced fares and enjoy our world-class services in great comfort and safety.
Fly our dream to the heart of Africa.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine. It's time for Lifestyle with me, Peace Kwizera. In Lifestyle today, we catch up with a very beautiful young lady, Mutesi Eduige, who happens to also be one of the top 15 finalists of Miss Rwanda 2016 and is currently on a verge to becoming the next supermodel. She is very passionate about mentorship and, of course, mentorship in young people, and today she's joining me in studio to talk a little bit about that. Eduige, welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
Now, as we start off this whole chat, I want to ask you what your experience was like in Miss Rwanda. And I've asked this question to so many people in the competition, and I want you to give us a little bit of your own very personal experience in that.
The experience after Miss Rwanda is huge since before joining Miss Rwanda, I wouldn't speak in front of too many people, but after Miss Rwanda, I gained self-confidence, and yeah, that's probably
so. Self-confidence would be one of the things, at least one of the main factors that you gain from the whole, competition. Now, but of course, taking this one onto your project, which was about mentorship, I love that project because it worked hand in hand with my project, and at least we've collaborated on a couple of projects. But I would want to know how maybe you're doing it and how it has been like for you after Miss Rwanda, maybe just because you did. I want you basically to give the young ladies or the young people watching at home a little bit of that feeling of even if you don't win, you can still do something, or something that you promised to do. Tell us a little bit, even your challenges, perhaps.
Well, yeah, after Miss Rwanda, whether you become Miss Rwanda or not, you still have to go on with your project. So that's what I did. Very well, we went to different schools to talk, to mentor some students, and we still have so many projects going on. Like we a tour in high school.
Yes.
We bring together many people who can inspire those students. Yeah.
Yes. So what you believe in is basically every student or every child should have a mentor growing up to see that they become, or they nurture up to become very smart and very, people like those very people who can be, spoke about and inspiring also in their own very futures.
Yeah, exactly.
So As we wrap up this whole conversation, I would want to know maybe what you have been up to, apart from the projects and, of course, just being you and being beautiful and everything. What have you been up to? I mean, look at me, I'm now on TV, but what has it been like for you after? Maybe what are you up to? What is Eduige up to? What do you do in your everyday life?
Well, I don't have like a job yet, but
Yes.
I also got so many things to do, and you know,
It's basically up and about hustling every day and maybe doing a few
and
makeup.
after Miss Rwanda, you know, you get so
gigs.
many opportunities
Yes.
and connections.
And a few, of course, photo shoots here and there. I've seen you in a couple of covers of a couple of magazines. And of course, I believe, was it like a very good experience for you, or do you think it has opened a door for you, honestly, as you conclude this? At least tell the viewers, has it opened any door for you, or has it at least enhanced a bit of something in you?
Yeah, of course. Miss Rwanda is something which I'm sure enables young girls to believe in themselves and step out from their comfort zone and do something out there. And you know very well it has. Yes, we did have so many challenges, you know, we hustled hard, but at the end, we still got so many opportunities. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for accepting, of course, our invitation and coming to Rise and Shine. We hope to have you again here on the show. And of course, remember, you're always welcome to Rise and Shine.
Thanks, please.
All right, there you had it from the very beautiful Eduige. Do let us know what you think about this, and do ask us any question that you would want to hear from her directly, and we'll answer back to you. That is all we had for Lifestyle today. We'll be right back after the break. Well, that is all we had for you for the show today, but don't forget, we'll up to your thoughts, comments, and feedback on what you're talking about here on Rise and Shine Rwanda. Tweet us at Rise and Shine RW. Like us on our Facebook page, and do send us your ideas for the program. Check out our Rise and Shine YouTube page, and please subscribe. That's so you can catch all the shows and the reposts that we do. Find us on Instagram, and remember, we love to see your pics. Last but not least, check out our website where you can catch every single thing that we do. And lastly, check out our Snapchat. And please go ahead and follow it. That's so you can see every single thing that we do backstage. I am Peace Quizera.
And I am Ivan Magwen. And we hope you had fun like we did. Stephen, a lot is being said around the Portugal coming back home to Lisbon.
Sure. They were welcome like heroes. And
they
also,
were heroes.
They were heroes.
I'm just saying.
And then we have Ronaldo too.
You know, she has been following up this story so closely. I don't know, there's this person attached. I
to
don't know if it's for Portugal or for Cristiano.
I just have a thing for Portuguese. I'm sorry.
Damn.
I'm just saying.
All right, did we just say that? But anyways, and we know that, we know that Ubumonu is coming, the festival, so people should be out there. And it's starting tomorrow, actually, so people go there and have fun. Well, we hope you had a great time. We'll be at same time, same place tomorrow. Do join us then. But for now, it's goodbye. Ciao.
Goodbye.